Welcome back to Under Oath. Welcome back to Under Oath again.
Yeah.
I know. You weren't here before we started the show. I'm
No,
sorry.
they were not.
They weren't here for the debacle that we haven't shot in about a month, and James doesn't know where the microphone goes.
I don't know how any of this works.
It's amazing, year after year.
Right.
I'm your host, Jeff Kaufman, sitting next to my good friend,
Yeah.
James John.
Good to be here, by the way.
There's one thing about denial, which is great.
What is it?
Time. Depending on your commitment to denial,
Ooh.
you could go forever.
Do you commit to the lie?
Yes.
All the way?
All the way. All the way. Happiness is overrated. Yeah.
You never say, okay,
No.
you got me.
No.
You were right.
No.
No, you just stick to it.
Anytime because you can't close the door.
You know who stuck to a good lie, even when we knew the truth? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton died.
He didn't stick to it. He just kind of shifted to the left and the right all the time. I never had sexual relations with that woman. Well, I don't count oral. You know what I count sexual relations? If the woman I'm with will whoop my ass
If I
did it with somebody else.
That's a good way
That's
to
a
define
sexual
that.
relation.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, it's not like,
Pretty
hey, I gave her a hug. Oh, okay.
Okay, all right, okay.
When you bumping uglies or something like that, yeah.
I gave her a hug laying down.
I gave her a hug laying down
Yeah.
and it was an accident.
I slipped.
Now, here's the worst part about that is.
Oh, there's a worst part?
Oh, it's the worst part about
Okay.
it. Because it was in our face. And I'm not talking Clinton's unit.
Yeah.
I'm talking it was in our face. Because here are the facts.
Yeah, and we had to be.
No, here are the facts.
Yeah.
Here are the facts.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't believe what I've said, you didn't read.
Okay.
There were depositions
There was.
where people had to testify.
They did.
They caught him
Mm-hmm.
because Monica was talking to some friend at work.
Yeah.
And she's sitting having lunch with this young lady, older woman, and she tells her about it, and she's getting transferred
Yeah.
out of the White House.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, do you have proof?
Can we talk about how weird that is first?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't. Listen, I've been in many relationships,
So have I.
and I guarantee everything hit the washer eventually.
Correct.
I never had somebody go, well, I kept it just in case I wanted to clone him. No.
Oh, God. Yeah.
No. So she has this dress.
Yeah.
Okay.
She does.
So they take the dress and they DNA test the dress.
Yeah,
And they
they
figure out that's presidential fluid.
No. Her dress had a presidential seal.
Yes, the seal, the presidential seal. Every time it walked in the room, they go dun 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 dun. Dun. No. Okay, so these are facts, people. I'm not making this. I wish I was making this up.
I wish you were making that
This
up,
is
but you're
president.
not.
So whatever nonsense you think is going on now, this was in deposition testimony.
It was.
In hearings,
Yes.
this was hearings in Congress.
Yes.
Worse than that,
Mm-hmm.
they start talking about what happened in the Oval Office.
They did.
And we're upset about paint on the bottom of a memorial.
Yeah.
This is fact.
It is.
President Clinton
Yes, he did.
had a humidifier. It's not a humidifier. What are those things you put cigars in? Humidor.
Humidor. Yeah, humidor.
Humidor. And he took out a cigar
Oh, God.
and he did a different version of getting the cigar ready.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Fact.
Yeah. Some people dip their cigars in brandy.
And I'm just going, wow, this is a fact now.
Yeah.
This is part of our history. And no matter how weird we can get in the White House now,
Yeah.
whatever topic you have,
Mm-hmm.
could you imagine Clinton uses intern as humidor?
Holy crap.
We would never,
Holy crap.
we would never hear the end of
The
that.
way you phrased that.
Yes.
Human humidor. Yeah.
We would never hear the end of that.
No.
He goes, but for some reason, when things go so nuts,
Yeah.
we no longer believe it.
Mm-mm.
It was like Clinton was a Florida resident.
Bam.
Yep.
Bam.
Casey Anthony,
Yeah.
the alligator guy, face-eating guy,
Yeah.
Zimmerman, and Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
We just can't believe it when it gets so weird.
Yes. This is what we learned in this little talk. People, you never know how crazy
Yeah.
testimony will be in court.
These were hearings in front of Congress.
Yes.
They gave out golden tickets to go to this hearing. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding. They made up golden tickets, like the Willy Wonka tickets.
Yeah.
I know because my law partner has one in his office.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It has a picture of Monica Lewinsky and Clinton, and it's signed by both of them. And then he's got the ticket, congressional ticket for the hearings. I'm
Mhm.
going, who would make this up?
Oh my gosh. They didn't even have bailiffs. They had Oompa Loompas.
This was a gift. This was a gift. Believe it or not, Craig bought me this damn gift.
That's a good gift.
He goes, I'm going to buy this for you as a gift. You know, it's a piece of history. I had to get it out of my office.
You couldn't.
It was like nuclear.
Yeah.
It was on the wall, and I kept looking at Monica and Clinton with their signatures and the ticket. I'm going, this is the most embarrassing time in American history.
And they signed it?
They had signatures from each one of them, but it wasn't on the picture. But I'm going, who would put this together? And why? And it sat in my office for like a year. And every time I looked at it, I was going, this has got to go.
Yeah.
So I hung it in his office when I thought he wasn't paying attention. And he didn't see it for like a couple months.
That sounds right.
So yeah.
That tracks.
But I couldn't have it. But I mean, this is the most awful time politically in our history, the most embarrassing moment we've ever had. And if you want to talk about embarrassment, you go, well, this guy did this. Nothing was more embarrassing than that weird crap. Having to do congressional hearings about two people having sex.
Now, we're about out of time. So can I just wrap this up by saying this has been the most informative segment of Legally Screwed that we've ever done.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk about this stuff, anytime somebody wants to roll some stuff back, you're going, God, how did this just kind of? I think if this was now, we would not stop hearing about it.
It'd be a field day.
People would just every second, we wouldn't get over it.
No, it would not.
I think because the internet wasn't killing it like it is now, that it kind of got pushed away.
Yeah.
But everything we said right now is a fact. This isn't my opinion. This isn't my thing. These are all facts and deposition testimony and everything like that. And you are right. Every president has their weird stuff.
They do.
You know, the Bushes had Iran-Contra. Nixon lied. I love Nixon, though.
Who doesn't?
I love Nixon. Nixon was the weirdest president we ever had in the sense that he didn't look like he was president.
No.
He looked like he was a Batman villain.
You look at the penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, And the worst part about it is I'm going to describe this to you. I'm going to describe to you exactly what Watergate is. And Watergate is the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because this is what happens. You got some guys who are in the Republican Party. They go, we're going to bust into the Democratic office and we're going to try to get some information.
Yeah.
We're going to get some scoop on them. We're going to scoop.
Yeah.
So they go in and they steal some stuff.
Yeah, they did.
And they get caught.
Yeah.
Okay. And then somebody goes to the president a couple days later and says, hey, man, we had two people in the Republican Party who stole some stuff. He goes, well, what'd they do? Well, they broke into an office. The Watergate is a building.
Yeah.
They broke into this building. They stole some. Well, what'd they steal? I don't know. Well, what are you going to do? I don't.
What do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do? And he's sitting here going, and they inform him after.
Yeah.
And he's going, it'll blow over. It'll blow over? It's going to blow over? Okay, well, I'm sorry. We don't have to say anything.
No,
it's going to blow over.
Yeah. I didn't do it.
What the hell? It's going to blow over.
Yeah.
So every time they ask him, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. Well, some genius decided, hey, let's put a tape recorder under the president's desk.
Yeah.
And the president's aware that he's being recorded. Yeah. He had the tapes. It had to go on and off, and he was part of that. And he gets impeached.
Yeah.
Not because he did the act, but because when he found out, he lied that he didn't know about it.
Because I'm trying to run it in my head real quick. Yeah.
It's like somebody tells you about a crime they committed afterwards.
Yeah.
And you go, well, I didn't have anything to do with that. Well, just say you don't know anything. I'm not a crook. I mean,
okay.
So he gets busted because he carried the water because he said he didn't know.
All he had to do was throw somebody under the bus.
Now let's talk about that as a lie.
Yeah. I knew.
It seems if we compare that lie to the ones our guys tell us now.
Oh, no.
Which are horrible.
No,
hey, did your
horrible.
brother get $5 million? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Did you ever go to an island?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. The island?
Yeah.
You have an issue with the island?
Yeah.
All right. Here, I'm going to solve the Jeffrey Epstein case right now.
Oh, I love this.
Here it goes. Here's the solution for the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Get ready.
If anybody wants to know anything about Jeffrey Epstein, okay? Here's the deal. If you still have problems with Epstein, then you are causing the controversy for yourself. Because here's all we need to know. This is all we need to know. Who was on the island? That's it. I don't need to know who he donated money to, whether he had an office in Harvard for years, whether he was into advancements in business and all this other stuff. I don't care about who he paid money to. Everybody gives money to every politician.
Mm-hmm.
The worst people in the world donate money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't care about who you donated money to. I want to know who was on the island.
Yes.
Because there was only one reason to be on the island.
Correct.
Okay? I don't care if you flew in his airplane. I don't care if he went to your event. I don't care if you wanted to borrow his plane.
Yeah.
Because rich people share their planes.
They do.
How do you know? I've seen rich people share their planes. And it's a great, nice way to do it. Every congressman is flying on private jets.
Yes.
And if you have an issue with it, all the, whether you're Republican or Democrat, whether you're conservative or liberal, private jets rock.
They're pretty good.
And you get there pretty fast.
Yeah, you do.
No security.
Yeah.
Great. But the point is, just tell us who was on the island.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't care about anything else. And you shouldn't either, because they're all full of it. They took money from bad people. We take money from bad countries. And don't tell me, we don't take money from countries. We hide it. Oh, well, this corporation took it who donated the money. Shut up. Okay? It's all a scam. You're all being screwed with. Just tell me who's on the island, because that's who I know who is doing bad stuff with kids.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know who was on the plane, because as far as I know, nothing bad happened on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
But I know bad stuff happened on the island.
On that island, yeah.
Okay? Who's on the island?
I'm with you.
That's it. Show me the list.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about anything else.
Mm-mm.
And if you want to know things about everything else, I mean, hell, Whoopi Goldberg was offered an opportunity to be on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Whoopi Goldberg was sleeping with kids.
I don't think so either.
I'm absolutely positive.
I'm pretty sure.
In fact, I'm willing to bet my full, whatever I have, that Whoopi Goldberg had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein and kids.
I'm going to say the same thing.
Okay?
Yeah.
But if you on the island in the pool, if we find out Whoopi was in the pool on the island,
Yeah.
but I guarantee she wasn't.
I don't think she was.
All right. So get me the list. We'll talk later. Sitting next to me is Craig Lind.
Howdy ho.
I want to discuss a very important issue, and we suffer from it too. When we feel we've been done wrong and there's an injustice, and we want to fight with everything we're worth.
Yes.
And then we go, well, most likely it's going to take a couple years. Most likely we're not going to make any money. Within 6 months, we're going to feel like idiots for doing it. And this is the problem. When you come to me and say, hey, Jeff, I'm mad. They owe me $500. I go, well, that's not even an hour and a half of an attorney's time. And you're not going to get that money back. Like, well, I don't care.
It's the principle.
Oh,
it's the principle.
The principle. There are people out there right now, because we've talked about this. I've mentioned this before, and they go, Jeff, you're ridiculous. I said, no, I've just seen it. The principle isn't I'm offended. Principles are like, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not be offended is not a principle.
I want to make a point.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to spend. Here's the thing, though. You'll find attorneys who I
agree with you.
I don't want to disparage attorneys.
But we are.
But
here we go.
But let me disparage some attorneys, because sometimes they're like AI. They'll just tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And they'll figure out a way to, at least in theory, get you what you want. And they'll promise you and they'll promise you, and they'll take your money at $3 and $4 and $5 and $600 an hour. And then at the end of the day, when you are extraordinarily disappointed, they'll blame the judge, they'll blame the jury, they'll blame the law. And hey, I did the best I could. And meanwhile, you're out, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000.
If you're lucky. And I feel bad because I had a conversation with a certain gentleman. He goes, Jeff, money's not the issue here. I said, it will be after a year of this, after you're not mad anymore. And I'm like, hey, this is what you got to pay. And we don't do this area law. I would say 99% of our business is contingency, where if I don't get you money, I don't get money. Now, a lot of attorneys aren't like that. They have hourly rates. And for me, I remember when we used to be an hourly rate law firm many, many years ago. And it was difficult to have a conversation with somebody after they were no longer mad. Or in a divorce. And I've had this conversation to divorce. Stop fighting over dumb stuff.
Well, yeah, you can get yourself in a position where you made it worse. Now you're a year or two into a lawsuit. Now you're not mad anymore. Now you don't want to do it and you want to drop the case. But if you stop, then the other side's going to become the quote prevailing party.
Yeah. And
then they're going to get attorney's fees and costs, and it depends on the type of litigation. But there's an opportunity for them to at least come and try and get something back from you to make it even worse, because now it's their principle. How dare this guy have sued me in the first place?
I wish it was different, and I wish people out there understood what the real law is. Not TV law, not movie law, not, oh, I Googled it law, but how the system really works. By the time you get to trial, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And the hardest thing to tell somebody is, like, you had a trial set the other week and you were 13 in line.
Yes.
Which means you're not going.
Probably not.
So there are 8 guys.
But you still have to, because in theory, I might have gone. So I had to get ready.
And imagine I have to pay my experts to be ready to go. And I have, and some experts go, listen, if I got to open this week up, this is going to be cost. So even when they don't show up, you might have to write that check. And your last case got basically bumped about 5, 6 months. And could you imagine you're the person waiting to go to trial and you're nuts over this and you get bumped every 3 months. You get bumped, you get bumped, you get bumped. And people go, that doesn't happen. It happens every day. It happens all the time. And nobody controls it. It's because they don't have enough jurors. They don't have enough judges. It's just the way it is. When people think about trials, I would say maybe 1 out of every 200 cases or 1 out of every 500 cases might go to trial. What do you think the number is?
Oh, it's more than that for us. I think nationally you're at 2 to 3%. If I remember.
That's what they say, but I think they combine criminal cases in there because I don't think they combine regular civil cases.
It's hard to go to trial in a civil case. It really is. There's so many in line.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to the point you're at a trial posture, it's so expensive that one or both sides start getting nervous. And then you start compromising more than you otherwise would because now there's way more at risk than there was before.
When I think about funny moments that happen in court, most of them happen in trials. Very rarely do they happen in motions. And Craig and I try a lot of our cases together. And when people hear that, they go, wait, I thought you were on the billboard. Yeah, well, I have to work. And they go, well, most of the guys don't. And it's like, I get it. When you have, and it wasn't because we needed to do it. About 10 years ago, I realized I wasn't doing something that I respected. I didn't like it. My firm was a huge firm. We had a ridiculous amount of attorneys and we had more people in our mailroom than most firms have in their regular office. And
I don't remember.
I hated it. People tell me that they met me on the elevator and I don't know who they are. Oh, Jeff, remember when I worked for you and I met you on the elevator?
You couldn't name 5% of our employees back in our
5%,
busiest.
maybe 2%. I felt bad. The person I'm dating now, for example, used to work for my company. I didn't know it. And everyone goes, I met you on the elevator. And I go, oh, Lord, here it comes. And there's some weird elevator story somebody always has with me. And it always is just blown out of proportion. And my favorite one was the 2 new employees who got on the elevator with me. And they were talking about our ex-partner. And they're going, yeah, we're going, this partner, he's a real blank. They were lighting him up. And I wasn't sure they weren't talking about me at first. And I said, which one are you talking about? And they go, the thin one. I go, oh, okay, good, not me.
Yeah, because that's my partner.
That's me.
Oh, what?
Well, I didn't say anything.
You didn't?
Didn't say a word because I was so happy it wasn't me.
Wasn't you.
And what was the crazy thing was the next day I get on the elevator and the same 2 women are on the elevator. The math of that was like 0.
Yeah.
And they were ridiculously uncomfortable. And they were going, you know what we said yesterday at the elevator? And I'm laughing. I'm going, hey, listen, I'm just glad you weren't talking about me. And they, but you won't tell them, will you? I said, yeah, I won't tell them. Lunch. That's when I told them. I didn't tell them which 2, but I did tell them. But that happens. And you hear all these terrible stories about what you did. Now, what do you think the worst thing you did?
The worst thing that
I know I got 7 or 8. See, I'm easy. See, you were likable. Everyone liked you.
Everyone liked me.
Yeah, but what do you think, though, that somebody goes, oh, you know what I hated? Craig did this to me one time. They don't have the Craig story.
No.
There are hundreds of Jeff stories. No Craig stories?
No, because I'm not mean, evil, wicked, or vicious.
You weren't allowed to be mean, evil, or wicked. That's not fair.
I was nice to everybody.
I was the one that go, hey, could you go yell
I do. There was a vicious rumor circulating at one point.
Ooh.
I had, because of the proportions of my body, I have to have my suits custom tailored. Okay. I can't just go to Men's Warehouse and get the jacket in the back. So
because they just don't.
So anyway, the button was wrong on my jacket, and my tailor said, "Well, take a picture of it so that I can see what it looks like." So I'm in the bathroom and I have the phone and I go to take a picture. And just as these guys are walking in that work for us, and they think I'm in there taking hey, this is a dating profile picture. And I didn't think anything of it at first because I thought they would realize what I was doing. But no, Craig's in the bathroom taking selfies of himself to post wherever. And I'm like, I was sending it to my tailor so he could see the button was...
No, it's a button.
It was a button. But everyone was just that whole year. Everyone was like, "Oh, Craig's one of them. He's one of the always. Where's he putting that picture? Who's he sending that to?" I had to deal with that for a whole year.
One of my favorites was this one, and it was my job. I hated it, but my old partner had me convinced that this is who I needed to be. And he goes, "Yeah, you got to yell at people. You got to light them up. You know, some people need that." And the truth is that when you have a huge company, there are some people who only respond to fear. And you got to cut those people loose. You can't have them working for you. But when they do work for you and the only thing they respond to is fear, you have to be that guy. And I hated that. And every once in a while, I would be told, "Hey, you got to talk to, you got to do this, you got to do this." And we had this big sales dude. I mean, he was a beast of a dude. He was like 6'5". And his people were just walking all over him. And Matt goes, "You're going to have to light this guy up. Could you do that? I have him come into your office." And I don't remember what I said to the dude. I had no clue because, when you're setting fire to a guy, trying to get him in line, you're just riffing sometimes. And about 2 months later, when he quit, HR walks into our office. And she goes, "I just did his exit interview." Because when you're a big company, you have exit interviews. They're not like, "Hey, I fired this person," or "We just gave him a box." You have an exit interview.
The exit interviews.
The exit interviews where she went over, "Hey, can I talk to you about this? Can I ask you a question if you're willing to talk?"
Hey, we know that you're not a good fit for the company, but we're going to give you one last opportunity to burn every possible bridge you can think of on the way out the door, starting go. And I'm writing it all down. And all these people who you hate, I am going to go tell them what your last words were. I don't think that's a good thing to do in concept or theory.
Technically, I was the bridge on most of these things. And she comes in and she said the most horrific thing that you could ever imagine. And Matt, Craig, and I are looking at her and she goes, "Jeff, he said, you said the blah, 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 blah." And I can't even repeat it. It was so bad.
What?
Oh, it was bad.
We're
No, we're not. We'd be canned. But it was so horrific.
Oh, it couldn't have been that bad.
And I remember going and Matt was looking. Matt and Craig were looking at me, and I looked over and I go, "Yeah, that sounds like me. Yeah, that sounds like me."
It sounds like.
And it was so horrific. I couldn't. The dude was like 6'5", and I knew what had happened. I knew the scenario. I automatically went back to it, and I was like, his people were like just killing him. And I'm like, "You're a big dude." And I got way too colorful. And that's what happens. And then these are the stories. And then whatever you said gets blown up to 10 times as bad. Yeah. And then they're suddenly telling you, and you also got naked. What? No, I didn't do that. But we had people in our office. They were lunatics. They were absolute lunatics. And it was like, "Hey, Jeff, could you look into this? What happened?" Well, she's dating him, but she was also cheating on this guy. And now this guy, she's upset because this guy is talking stuff about her and she wants to file a complaint against this guy.
The managers?
Yeah.
I remember that.
And she wants to file a complaint against the guy she cheated on because now he's upset.
Yeah.
And he's saying he's talking smack about her. And I'm going, what are we doing?
Only when you have that many employees could you ever conceive of having a problem like that, right?
And sales guys. Ooh, we had an intake division, 40 ego-driven creatures.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to tell sales guys to do it. Sales guys are, "What are you talking about?" And then
they're
you
very
have,
fragile. Their ego is very
yeah.
fragile. Sales guys.
Yeah. People don't get it. They think these guys easily are so offended. Jeff, I'm so offended. Really? You lied to like 10 people today. You lied to me coming in the door here, and we're not good. But that's what happens when you run a big business. And that's why, as an owner, you have to learn to separate yourself from a lot of that stuff. And I could no longer separate myself. And I was like, listen, I got to get out of here. I got to go back to a family environment. I've got to bring this back. I got to get my brain right. And I think now if I had to do it, I could. I wouldn't want to because I actually like having relationships with the people I work with.
Oh, yeah. So
because you can't be friends.
Yeah.
You can't be friends with people when your company's that big anymore.
No.
And you can, oh, how you doing, Bob? Good to meet you. The kid's good. The kid's good. Everything's great. Who is that? And that's normally the way that played out. I mean, now we know everybody here. It's cool to be able to spend time with the people you work with, especially when they like you. When they didn't like you, it wasn't great. You'd walk in a room and you knew that.
You have to treat people the way you would want to be treated. If you can do that in your business, you'll succeed.
Today we have cold case investigator Paul Holes. Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
I get to interview a lot of people. I'm talking from A-list celebrities to congressmen to everything else. But my office lit up today when I told them I was interviewing you, and I was going, and I'm not into the crime podcast as much because I used to be a criminal defense attorney. So it doesn't get to me because I go, listen, it's a dark world, man. I know it's entertainment now, but it's a lot darker than you think.
Yes.
How has the world changed that way, though?
I know for me, it was very surreal. I did, 27 and a half years on the law enforcement side. And because of my association with the Golden State Killer case, a very high profile case out of California, all of a sudden I got swept up into the true crime space. And I had, being in law enforcement, I had no clue, about, how ravenous the fans are in true crime. But the reality is it's the ultimate human drama. And it's not new. People think, well, why is everybody paying attention today? Well, they were paying attention hundreds of years ago. I would say, yes, it's dark. Part of my role is what I say is even though I'm in true crime, I come out of real crime. I've seen the horrors of what happens to these victims and the victims' families. And as long as we're respectful to the victims, it's okay to consume the story and just don't glamorize the bad guy. Don't wear a T-shirt with Ted Bundy's face on it.
I was in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and they basically have like the serial killer museum there. And
okay.
And it's when I say it's painful, because the person I was with was like, oh, I want to go. I'm into this. I was walking through there and every item, oh, this is Ted Bundy's car. This is this. And it just makes you sick. But some people are going so excited to see it at the same time.
Yeah. And I hear about people who collect serial killer memorabilia, John Gacy's paintings and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, to each their own, it's not something that I would personally get involved with.
I had the opportunity to interview one of God, what was his name? The serial killer out of Florida, Ted Bundy. And, she was upset. I mean, she was brutally upset. She goes, everyone's saying that he was charming. He was everything else. They romanticize this really bad dude who didn't have any of these real aspects. And is it a female thing or is it a male thing or do you think it crosses over?
Well, did you interview Kathy Kleiner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I know Kathy. She survived the attack at the sorority house that he did. What I say, because I know there's controversy with some of the movies that have been made, like Ted Bundy, where a good-looking actor is portraying Ted Bundy. And one of the messages that I always want to put out there is we have to educate people that these killers don't always look like the boogeyman. They can wear suits. They can be attractive. And so potential victims need to be a little bit more wary and not just assume because there's a guy that's articulate, good looking, well dressed that he can't harm them. He can, so I think that really has to be underscore, and it's just how is the the bad guy being portrayed is more the concern from my front. Is there something that is glamorizing what he's doing, and then that's a problem.
One of the things I hate most about cases like these is the facts change, the histories change. I mean, I tried a big case in 2005. It was a Disney case called the Tigger trial. And I just watched this weird bioptic on the trial that I did. And none of it was accurate. And I'm going, and it wasn't, I was there. So it wasn't like I'm looking at facts. I go, no, I actually tried this case for 5 days. What are these people talking about? And I think anybody with a microphone can make it up.
No, for sure. And I had a similar, or I would say I had similar experiences, where I'm working cases and I'm watching, the media cover the cases, and I'm going, this is so inaccurate, and that's where, with active cases today, where people want me to come on their show and start to speculate as to what's going on in the case, and I often refuse to do that because I know that law enforcement possesses so much more information, and what I'm being fed through the media side is possibly inaccurate. I don't want to put my neck on the line speculating on inaccuracies. And so, as an example, I refuse to comment on the Idaho case with the 4 college kids that were tragically killed until official documents came out, and that was the arrest warrant, the affidavit to the arrest warrant. Now I've got facts that law enforcement has for me to at least be able to inform the listeners. This is what I am able to determine from my experience, my expertise on what the affiant wrote in the arrest warrant.
Now, you were able to solve a lot of these cases with DNA. I think about things now and I go, is DNA better than digital fingerprints now? Because now you can't leave the house with your phone without GPS pinging you and everything else. You think it's harder for people who want to do really bad things to get away with it now?
It is, for sure. The prevalence of surveillance video, license plate readers, technology, the smart devices, location services being turned on. There's so many things that an offender has to take into account to try to prevent being identified today. The Golden State Killer, Joseph DeAngelo, he does a series where he's breaking into a house, and he's got, over 150 cases where he's breaking into houses. In this day and age, that would be very, very hard to pull off. But it's always a cat and mouse game between the offenders and law enforcement. The offenders are recognizing, I can't get away with this type of crime, but what kind of crime can I get away with? And now what you're seeing offenders go into the online space, and they're anonymizing themselves online, and their whole goal is to lure and isolate the victims, so they can go physical to commit the violence that they're fantasizing about.
Now, if I wanted to protect myself, when you say that, I have a daughter, I have, people I care about, air tags, anything you can do, find my phone, to make sure that when the person you care about is gone, that there's some way to track them. There's some way to get hold of them.
No, for sure. And that's where, I had a young mother whose ex was stalking her. She had to share custody with her kids, and she was concerned that he would abduct the kids, parental type abduction. And it was like, well, what, like your daughter, what does she normally keep with her? That is her comfort thing, like a little teddy bear. Get an air tag inside that teddy bear, things like that, and not just one location, multiple locations. If you have those types of concerns, you want redundancy, if you're really wanting to be able to track your missing loved ones. And then you also have to educate your loved ones. If you're finding yourself in this situation, I'll first try not to get into that situation. I've told my kids, I don't care if the person has a gun or a knife and they're trying to drag you into the car, you kick, you fight, you scream, you do everything you can. Even if you're shot and stabbed there, that is better than what they're going to do to you after they get you to another location. So you always try to prevent yourself from going to another location. But also, you want your loved ones, if they do have mechanisms in which family members would be able to find where they're at, that they make sure that those are on. Keep your cell phone with you. Keep your cell phone on. Try to hide it if so the offender isn't completely aware that you've got it. So it comes from both sides, I guess is the way I'm putting it.
Now, I've been looking at some things you've been up to lately. And one of the things that just blows my mind, especially right now, is the Marilyn Monroe case you're looking into. And I mean, that's 64 years ago. To be able to go in and try to, and the evidence that they have could be made up. It could be nonsense. Forget conspiracy theories. I mean, it might actually be accurate that people were trying to protect themselves. I mean, how do you even go back and try to unravel that?
Well, I think that's, part of, with Marilyn Monroe, we've got, the show Celebrity Crime Scenes, and it's using technology coupled with AI to replicate the scene where Marilyn was found dead. And so now myself, with my experience and expertise, and my co-hosts, were able to walk into this three-dimensional space and be able to, see what the original investigators saw and determine, do we agree with their assessment that she took her own life, or are there inconsistencies? Are there contradictions? And is there churn? You use the term investigative theory. I'm going to put a different spin on that. I'm going to say those conspiracy theories, those are investigative leads.
Right.
And once you substantiate, she was with Sam Giancana, the head of the Chicago mob, within a couple of weeks of her death. She was in relationship with the Kennedy brothers, the president and the U.S. Attorney General. There's churn going on in Marilyn's life that was very dangerous to her as a person. And I, as an investigator, have to look into those aspects.
That's a hard thing because, God, you're hoping the information is right. I mean, I deal with a lot of cases, and I deal with a lot of people go, well, Jeff, that's not real, until you find out it's real. And you're going, oh, God. I mean, the government has to have a significant amount of information on this, especially the FBI. And I don't know if they've released all that information, but it sounds like the perfect time to get it because, we got the stuff on aliens now. Why not get Marilyn Monroe?
Right. Well, and I think that kind of underscores things. The FBI, their documents have been released out of the FBI under a FOIA request. The FBI was tracking Marilyn Monroe since her marriage to Arthur Miller, who was a known communist sympathizer. And Marilyn was also showing communist types of contacts through the rest of her life. So there are documents heavily redacted as a result of the communist aspect during this era, the McCarthyism type of era. But the fact that she is in sexual relationships with the president and the U.S. Attorney General, the FBI is absolutely monitoring that. And the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, is hearing or being briefed that the president and the U.S. Attorney General are telling Marilyn national security secrets, during pillow talk. And they cut off their relationship with her. And she now is telling her friends, I'm going to go public. I'm going to tell that I had relationships with the president, U.S. Attorney General. I'm going to divulge what they told me, on national security. I mean, this is a tremendous amount of jeopardy that Marilyn is getting herself into as a result of these relationships, and so that's where, for me, that's an investigative lead, because there is no question in this day and age that she did have relationships with the president and the Attorney General.
You realize how insane that is. I mean, if anything came close to that, I mean, we were upset over an intern. Imagine if Monica Lewinsky was Madonna and she was sleeping with Clinton and his brother. I mean, you couldn't do that in today's world and get away with that.
Well, imagine, Hoover, who's trying to protect, if you want to say, protect the nation, and you have somebody with the status of Marilyn Monroe, and she's going to divulge information that's going to hurt the Kennedys, that's also going to divulge national security issues. Her voice is going to go around the globe, right? So this is where, from my perspective, I go, what would the U.S. government do to protect itself under that set of circumstances?
I remember my grandparents, before they died, they were friends with Joe DiMaggio, and they were friends when Marilyn and them were married. And they said, listen, she was just a regular person who just kind of didn't have her stuff together. She was okay looking. People would, makeup and photos do a whole different thing to you. But, she had this level of, how can I say it, fame. And how possibly did they get away with it? Or did the media back then just go, yeah, it's a private thing, we don't want to cover it?
Well, and I think part of, what I'm looking at is never underestimate the sophistication of the offender. I learned my lesson with Golden State Killer. I underestimated who that offender was until I didn't. And it turned out it was a highly trained law enforcement officer. Here, you potentially have the most sophisticated killers, whether it be from the mob side or whether it be from the U.S. government side. They most certainly are going to be able to not only commit a crime, such as taking Marilyn's life, but make it look like something it's not, stage that crime scene, and then also apply influence to prevent people from talking. And there are people such as Marilyn's housekeeper, her publicist, Pat Newcomb, who for their entire lives never divulged what truly happened. This is not hearkening of suicide. This is hearkening that there is an influence that persisted in these witnesses' lives until they died.
There's an insanity to that whole triangle when you think about it. President gets killed. His brother gets killed. The girlfriend gets killed. I mean, it just feels like it's too connected to be that varied. But I mean, Oliver Stone does the magic bullet and says there's no way that possibly happened. And we're still sitting here going, oh, well, I guess, we're through with it. Are you ever really through with it?
No, and I think as I learned more about Marilyn Monroe, her life and the other aspects to her life, I was stunned. And then you start looking at what you just mentioned, the Kennedy brothers that she was having affairs with both end up being assassinated. But I think more notable from my perspective investigatively was the very well-known columnist, journalist, Dorothy Kilgallen, who was investigating JFK's assassination. And then she ends up dead in a very similar manner as Marilyn Monroe. And, a barbiturate overdose, and it's a weird crime scene. And so many people think that, the mob boss out of New Orleans, who some are speculating was involved in the JFK assassination, got to Dorothy Kilgallen, and so there's just too much churn going on. That's what I call it. Anytime I see churn, it's like, I got to dig into that, because that's usually where you're going to find your answer.
Now, you had mentioned something earlier about that these guys can be charming. They're not just, broken people who look bad, that they could look like regular people. Why do you think we're just so ridiculously fascinated with these people? I mean, they want to marry these guys when they're in prison. They want they want a connection with this truly evil human being.
Yeah, well, I think, there is there's a pathology with some of the women and their psychologies who ultimately fall for these bad guys in prison, like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, right? And I think that's a little bit different than being fascinated with, well, what makes these killers tick? That's how I initially got into doing what I do, specializing on the serial predators. Like, what's going on? Why do these guys do this? And it's funny. My parents, for my 25th birthday, gave me a book called Sexual Homicide: Patterns and Motives. Well, that's the academic study for what people now know as the Netflix show Mindhunter, right? This is where the profilers are studying these serial killers. And I was fascinated by it, and that's what I tell people in the true crime space. It's okay to be fascinated. Why do these evil men do what they do? But again, don't glamorize them. They're doing horrific things.
It's tough. And, people always want to talk to me about past cases. I'm like, listen, I'm good. I don't want these people in my life any longer than they were. But we have about a minute left. Why don't you tell me where social media, the shows, everything we can get so we can follow everything you're doing?
Well, I'm a co-host of two podcasts. I've got Buried Bones with Professor Kate Winkler Dawson, and this is where we cover historic crimes of the era of like Marilyn Monroe's case, and even much older. And then I'm also a co-host of Small Town Dicks, and this is hosted by Yardley Smith, the voice of Lisa Simpson, and she married a cop whose twin brother was a cop. And then I joined them a couple of years ago, and we bring investigators on to tell us their stories. And I'm not a big social media person, but on Instagram, I'm at paul.holes, so I'm very easy to find.
Well, I appreciate the conversation. Good luck with everything, and keep figuring out the stuff we need to know. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that wraps up today's show. I'm attorney Jeff Kaufman. Thanks for joining us. Special thanks to my two co-hosts, my good friend, professional comedian James John, and my law partner, Craig Lind. This show is sponsored by Kaufman Lind. If you or someone you know has been in an accident, contact us at 407-500-JEFF or 407-500-5333 for a free consultation, or visit us at whenyouneedus.com.